Hey, everybody. February 12th. We are less than a month away from the start of free agency. So it'll be here before you know it. But wanted to hop on and kind of give you my 2 cents on the big game on Sunday, as well as just kind of, what the offseason will look like, kind of go over just our internal free agents. So I'll start with the game on Sunday. Watched more than I wanted to. Guilty. I think a lot of that was really based on the result, or like as the game went on, the game script, if you will. It's just one of those things where I truly feel that we would have given Philadelphia a much tougher test. I think Baltimore would have given Philadelphia a much tougher test. Obviously, neither us and Baltimore were lucky enough to advance to the game, but I think it kind of shows. The game did a lot in my mind, as to the state of the conference, and quite frankly, what every team should be chasing. That is in a position like we are in. We mean Buffalo. So, Kansas City. Good year, great year, however you want to call it. They weren't. Adam Shine, I thought, said it best. They were not a deserving champion. When you won the games the way that they won them, and you could just tell, what part of luck is going to come into this game and going to have them, on top. And again, performance is part of that. I'm not saying that they didn't do their part too. But, they've won 17 straight one-possession games. It's going to come back. When you are playing football like that, history says you're playing with fire. You're going to get burned at some point. When is it going to happen? Who knows? You clearly don't want it to happen in the game in which it happened to you, right? The biggest game of the year. So they were name the analogy. They got killed. When Cooper DeJean had that pick six, it felt like Kansas City might not score 20 points today. So they're already at 17. And, 40% of their points are defensive. This is not, a big Barkley run or a big, A.J. Brown touchdown, whatever. It wasn't the case yet at that point. So it kind of felt like, you get that OPI early on, who was that? Brown? Yeah, Brown. A.J. Brown. And you're thinking, here we go again. This is how these games go for that team in white and red. And I'll get on a little tangent here. I love the people that are like, well, see, the league is not rigged for Kansas City. They lost. If it was rigged, they wouldn't have lost. No, that's not. People are confusing and are running with this rigged system. It's not rigged. No, I'm not saying it's rigged. The argument is that they consistently get favorable calls that ultimately change outcomes of games. So it's not as if they're saying, yeah, no, we're going to call, every single thing one way. No, I'm not saying that is the case. I'm not saying that was the case when we played them or whoever played them. But it's one of those like, hey, got close. First down, Kansas City. Non-first down opposing team. Here's a roughing. Here's a mystery hold. One of those. So, big difference between rigging something and favorable calls. Statistics say that in the playoffs of the last 5 years, nobody has received more favorable calls than Kansas City has. So, like, accept it or not, that's fact. So, I just felt like, again, here we go again. And I feel like Philadelphia, well, and I just actually saw this morning. Mitchell Williams, the D tackle that had 2 sacks, probably made himself a good chunk of change as he's a free agent. Said it best. They used Kansas City's woe is me, but at the same time, three-peat. We got the rights from Pat Riley. Like, we're basically just, it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to win this game. And that's what they use as extra motivation. So good on you, Philadelphia. But, I mean, look, the biggest takeaway from anybody that knows the game of football is Philadelphia won that game because they could pressure the quarterback consistently with 4. And that's the reason why they won. Like, if you had to say, here's the pie, what's the biggest chunk of the pie as to what determined the outcome of the game? Pressuring the quarterback. Sacking the quarterback, pressures, getting Mahomes off the spot, making him throw too quick, hold on to it a little bit too much, whatever. That's the reason as to why the game got out of hand very quickly, because it resulted in turnovers. It resulted in points directly from a turnover and points off of turnovers. And quite frankly, Kansas City couldn't stop it. Matt Caliendo, if his name is Matt, Mike Caliendo, not Mike, I think it's Matt, gave up 4 sacks. He was the culprit as to giving up 4 of the, I believe, 7 sacks that Philadelphia had. Backup offensive lineman. I'm not faulting Kansas City for that. They moved Tooney because they didn't believe in their left tackles, and Philadelphia exploited it. And they did a really good job, really all game long, of keeping Mahomes contained, not letting him use his feet to get out and either run or make throws off the run. And those guys just, you could tell, man, they played mean. They played like, we're going to be the reason why our team wins the championship tonight. And they did. And kudos to them. But saw a stat, they're now 6-0 league history. That when a team is, what was the stat now? Oh, when they rush 4, when a team does not blitz the whole game, coming into Sunday night's game, the teams were 5-0 in the Super Bowl. Now they're 6-0. Again, it's a small sample size. There's been 59 Super Bowls, so of the 59, 6 of them have had that outcome. But I think it really, hammers the point that defensive efforts like that can win you championships, especially in the given game, right? So, what that looks like for the rest of the league, what that looks like for the rest of our conference and our team, I'll focus really there, because obviously we have a need. Part of the yard. That's probably our biggest need, is a pass rush, because I equated it to this. For those that know me, I'm a golfer. Your quarterback is your putter. If we want to think about the golf bag, right? Quarterback is the putter. Legitimately is the reason as to why you score. more times than not, especially our team, right? The defensive line, that unit, is your driver. Okay? So for those that don't know the golfing world or whatever, if you're good off the tee, you set yourself up off the tee, you're going to have a chance to score. It's going to affect the rest of your game. So you can rush the passer consistently and that part of the game have the impact on the game. Now all of a sudden, just from a defensive standpoint, your secondary is better, your coverage is better, everything's better defensively. In turn, that allows your offense to play more free, really, right? Knowing that, okay, hey, we're going to have opportunities, a lot of opportunities with the ball in our hands to either control the game, put points up. We know that even if we get down, our defense can bring us back and keep us in the game. So that's what we're after. That is what we are after. And I don't know when the last time. One second here. I forgot when the last video I posted was. Here we go. Your video 128. So this was previous to Myles Garrett's trade request. Yeah, so that's something again. He's the guy. That's the move that we need to make to take our next big swing for the next 4-5 years, if you want to say 5 years. That's it. And if you listen to the postseason press conferences of both the head coach and the general manager specifically, when he mentions game records, when he mentions, how those guys become available, right? Whether you're drafting extremely high, top 5, 10, or you're trying to potentially squeeze as much juice out of a career, a 32, a 33, a 34-year-old defensive player, like we did with Vaughn. It's really the only way a team like us that's picking 25 to 31 every year is going to be able to get one of those guys. So now, as we sit here on February 12th, one of those guys is deeming himself available. Now, the team has obviously said the opposite. I find it hard to believe that they won't move him. I think that push comes to shove, they will honor his request, and at that point, it's going to be, do they do him right and send him to a place that he wants to go, or is it just, highest bidder, and that's where you're going, Myles? Myles can have some control in that a little bit from a show-up standpoint or whatever, and as he said, he's going to do everything possible to make a trade happen. So that's the move. Obviously the question is what is the compensation? Who are we willing to move? What pieces are we willing to part with? Look, we have 2 2s this year, so I have no problem sending a 1 and a 2 this year, and I would even do a 1 next year because, in my eyes, Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in football. Myles Garrett has, easily another 4 or 5 years left in the tank. Like this, he's in his prime. He just won Defensive Player of the Year last year, right? And so those 2 first-round picks, 30 this year, and what I would deem either 31 or 32 next year, because I believe that he's the guy that gets us to the game, gets us over the hump. that's worth it. And if you kind of look at just our previous top end picks, they really haven't been home runs. Obviously the jury's still out on Coleman. That's not it. Kincaid has to take a gigantic step next year. And then obviously Elam's been just atrocious. So why there's two trains of thought. I get it. Keep swinging, right? Keep picking, and at some point you're going to hit. They've hit, right? Don't get me wrong, but where we are in Josh Allen's career, I believe he's going to sign his second big extension this offseason. We are now this is, I don't want to sound like time is not of the essence, because it is, but Josh legitimate, and you have no idea how careers go, but in my opinion, Josh probably has, in terms of like prime Josh, probably has another 5 to 6 to 7 in that range. He's 28 to like 35. So like, is the 35-year-old Josh Allen gonna move in as well as the 28-year-old Josh Allen? No. I still think he'll be able to move. I don't think he's gonna like get old like Roethlisberger. But so if that's the window, call it 5-6 years. If that's like the window, why would you not? That's the time to swing, because you're not going to have another chance. You're not going to. There's no, the window from 35 to 40, if he continues to play that long, ain't going to be the same, right? So now is the time, and this guy's available, and they rarely become available, and when they do, it's just time to act. It's time to push all the chips into the middle of the table. And this is the bet that you make. And if it works, you're a genius. And if it's not, in my opinion, I'm not going to fault you for saying, we believe that we have the best player in football on offense. We need the best player in football on defense. And if both of those guys, surrounded by obviously the supporting cast, that should be get us a championship in the next 5 years. Should. So take the swing. I'd rather swing than not swing. Call me out, with a forwards K, not a backwards K. I don't want to get caught looking. That's the way that I would approach it. We'll see what they do. Again, the tag window opens, I believe, in a week. Not that I don't think we're going to franchise tag anybody, but league-wide. And then I have the list here of free... Whoops, didn't want to do that. Hang on here. Here we go. Okay. So our free agents, I'm just going to go down the list. Guys that have already re-signed, and actually this morning, Alec Anderson signed his exclusive right deal. So he will be back. The most used 6 offensive lineman in football. So happy to have him back. Ryan Van Denmark signed, and Shane Buechele, quarterback. I don't think he's going to be on the roster. Maybe practice squad. Who knows? So the other list. The other restricted free agent that we have is Quinton Morris. I would assume that they would probably, give him another 1-year deal. Tommy Doyle retired. Appreciate the memories, Tommy. But yeah, I'll start kind of at the top here. So obviously the biggest one, just in terms of name, is going to be Amari Cooper. Wide receiver is going to be a position that we certainly need, just based on bodies, right? Numbers. They need to add to the room. How they go about it and what they need, I think is going to be what's going to be interesting. So, I would take Cooper back. I would. It's got to be on our terms. If he thinks that, and I don't think he thinks this way by hearing him for the last 3 months, But if a team says, "Hey, we're going to give you 3 for 50," good luck. See ya. I'm not paying you $20 million a year. Like, I'm just not. Like, you're not that guy. So what does that look like from a Cooper standpoint? I believe that these free agents, when you're here and then you become a free agent, especially the last 2-3+ years, it's like, what can I do to stay? Now, a Jacksonville Jaguar comes calling and you're going to get a 3 for $40 million contract like Gabe Davis got last year, yeah, he's gone. But I think that Cooper is one of those guys that if I want to win, where's my best shot? And we're on a short list. So that's where I would be with Cooper. Rasul Douglas is another one that it's like, hey man, like, I take him back. I thought his play kind of dipped a little bit this year. He's 31, got a little dinged up. So is he going to come back kind of shorter, 2-year deal? Sure. But at the same time, again, if somebody calls coming and they're going to make him, a $10 to $12 million cornerback, good luck. I don't think that's going to be the case, but if it is, see ya. Austin Johnson's another one where, I thought he played well at times. Again, D-line is a massive need for us. So is he part of that puzzle? If it's a really, league minimum type deal, sure. I'd bring it back for a rotational spot. Mac Hollins, I'm not sitting here saying that they need to do everything they can to bring back Mac, but he obviously produced. He obviously embodied what it meant to be a Bill last year, and just does anything that you want the guy to do. He's 32, so again, I don't think some team's going to give him some 4 or 5 year deal. But if they can do like a 1+1 with him, same-ish thing. I think he signed for like 2.5 last year, roughly. Maybe give him a little bit of a bump, 3. I think Mac loved being a Bill, loved being here. So I think it's really just a matter of, hey, Mac, here's the contract, sign. And if not, like, thanks, good luck. So I firmly believe he'll be back. Dwayne Smoot, another guy, got hurt, missed a good chunk of the season. I thought he played well at times. Is he that, one of those guys that you want to make a part of this D-line next year? Maybe. I don't know. That's a question mark. I would let a Dwayne Smoot get into free agency. We're talking April, right? Maybe even into May. And hey, you haven't signed anybody? Here's league men. Come try and win a championship with us. Reggie Gilliam, we don't really use a fullback. We started to in the playoffs. He's a core special teamer. Again, chump change, not worried about it. He'll probably be back. Quentin Jefferson, no, right? Just old. Ty Johnson, for sure. That's another guy that, he's 28. So he's probably going to get a little bit of a bump pay-wise, but, he means and does a lot for the team. So 100%. Jordan Phillips, he's 33. And he said, I'm only playing if it's with the Bills. So it's one of those, hey, here's league men, and come play. We'll see, right? Type of thing. Reed Ferguson, might be time. I don't know if he wants to keep playing. He's into his 30s now. He had the block punt in the Rams game where he missed. Again, I'm not going to cut you based on one specific thing, but that was tough. We'll see what happens there. And then the last one really is Hamlin. and I'm all set. I have my two safeties with Rapp and Bishop. I think that someone is probably going to give him like a medium-sized contract, nothing like crazy, like a 3 for 15 or something like that with somebody else. But I want to try and get better there at that spot, at that position. Hamlin is a very unathletic safety. And that's what kills you when you're talking about speed. Like, you got to have the athleticism. He makes some plays, way more than I thought he was going to make. I've never been a big Hamlin fan. But, it's just one of those things where, like, you can't keep them all. And I think that he's certainly a guy that, being said, he's a huge Hamlin fan. And I think that's a lot to do with the whole situation. But, because you turn on the tape, he's not, doesn't flash, right? Like, if you see his interceptions, it's like he's in the right place at the right time, tip ball here, whatever. Cool, awesome. Play him in on Lamar, fantastic, right? I'm not completely discrediting the guy, but we have our replacement with Bishop, right? Rapp is going to play center field, and Bishop is going to be the stronger safety, if you will. Or vice versa. They both can do both, I think. I think Bishop's better down on the line of scrimmage, but nevertheless. So those are our free agents. Where am I here? Yeah, about a half hour. I think this is going to be an off-season. First of all, I think league-wide it's going to be wild. I think that you're going to have a lot of moving parts. Trades, and because I feel as if the NFL player is now thinking, well, why can't we be NBA-ish in terms of how we get out of a place we don't want to be? Or, you know what, Deebo Samuel, hey, my time is up. I can just tell. I think it's time for a fresh start for me and the organization I'm currently with. Trade me. So, we'll see. But yeah, I think that it's going to be a crazy off season in regards to that. The next 2-ish months, so a little more, because the draft is end of April. So 10 weeks, and then it'll just calm down. But it is going to be really fun. I love this part of the NFL calendar. Obviously, nothing beats the season, but just in terms of, building a team and reconstructing a team, I don't think that we're going to be super active in free agency. I know that they've tied our name to Hollywood Brown, and obviously we've been tied to Garrett and Crosby if he becomes available from an edge standpoint. I think that their big move is going to be the trade. And I think that that's the right move to make. And then I think from there you kind of fill with depth pieces and guys that are what I was referring to with Amari Cooper earlier. With especially I said this to a buddy last week. If they make the move for Garrett, it's clearly showing us, our fan base, and the rest of the league, we are all in. So it's, do you want to come with us and try and win a championship? Do you want to be a part of this and try and win a championship? Right? If you're one of these guys that maybe you're a middle of the road free agent, or even the second tier, and it's you know what? I think if I go to Buffalo, I can have a really good year, and that can get me the big contract that I want next year. Not just with Buffalo, but with 31 other teams. Come to Buffalo, right? Be the best version of yourself. Know that you're gonna be in a spot, an opportunity to win it all. That's where we're at, and that's where we would be even more so if we get a Myles Garrett. So, that should be the goal for us. So we'll I'm gonna end it there because I'm about a half hour on the nose. probably do like a little more free agent, like, hey, here's other guys that I would try and target. Again, I'm not talking big fish. And then maybe we'll get into some draft stuff here coming up, because I believe, what do we got? 2 weeks, I believe, to the combine. I think it's 2 weeks from tomorrow. So, like I said, it's bang, 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 bang. Like, it's a great part of playing in the late January is, like, you think you have all this time, and before you really don't. February is such a short month that, the new league year is going to be here before you know it. So, until then, as that guy said, we can maybe a hair on MVP. Jeez, take it for granted. I won't say much. What I will say is this. For those that believe he wasn't deserving, or it was a consolation prize, or it's the Charles Barkley MVP win with Jordan and all that type of stuff. 4 words for you. We do not care. How does that sound? 30, 40, 50 years from now, they're not going to say, oh, hey, the 2024 NFL MVP Josh Allen. They're going to sit here and say, NFL MVP Josh Allen. And I think he's going to win multiple, so they're going to say 2-time, 3-time, yada, yada, right? So you're pissed off about it, that's fine, don't care. Nobody is more valuable to their team this year than Josh Allen. I would argue that nobody's more valuable to their team for the last 4+ years. So it really was a matter of, should he have won it in years past? Yes, he didn't. So now is the time. And with how this team was supposed to play this year, with who they lost, and then vice versa, how they played, where they finished, record, team, etc., nobody was more valuable than 17. So, do good, be good. God bless, go Bills.